Well, hello again. This is the 20th of September 2025, and this is another Autie Thoughty. And this is, well, I hope it will be the first in a sort of sporadic series, because I am planning, if funds allow, to take my son on lots of little city breaks over the next couple of years, and just sort of learn more about the country we live in. What goes on in other cities within driving distance, and hopefully we'll both learn something. So anyway, we have just got back from 5 days in Birmingham, and why did we start with Birmingham? A question you may well ask. Well, it's a place that I have some tenuous connections to and have visited occasionally in the distant past. And I sort of feel like I should know more about it than I do. In my late teens, I just seemed to have, by coincidence, quite a lot of online friends who were from, well, if not Birmingham itself, the general West Midlands area. And we met up. I spent a day there once in 2004, and I realised that was 21 years ago. It's been a long time. And I thought, if I do go spend a bit of time in Birmingham, maybe meet up and have a little catch up, have a little dinner date or something with some old friends. And I realised, it's been at least 10 years since I had any contact with any of them. All the forums we used to post on are completely defunct. None of them use Facebook anymore. None of them update their blogs. The address book I had with all their contact details is, well, I don't know where it's gone. It's no longer in my possession. Probably just put all the details on my phone instead of all the people who are still likely to talk to at some point, and chucked it. So that was a bit of a shock and a bit sad, really. What happened to them all? The couple of them I actually had to sit and have a think to remember their real names, and what happened to all those people who we used to be kind of really close to, emotionally if not physically, So that was that kind of hit home. That was a long time ago. And that was something that I suppose I sort of wanted to revisit in a way. And also, I had a stepdad who was from a little place called Bromsgrove, which was sort of right down the far side of the city itself. We used to, I had in my head that we used to have, quite regular visits to visit his parents, but it's another thing. It's only about no more than 3 times we actually got there. I'm trying to remember a house full of pink things. His mum was one of those people who likes everything pink. Sitting in the garden, painting pictures of all the flowers while the grown-ups were talking. I sort of have this image that it's always sunny in Bromsgrove. And the window cleaner took hours and hours, like literally hours and hours. He was there half a day. We all went out for dinner and came back, and the window cleaner was still cleaning the windows. I don't know if that's an accurate picture of Bromsgrove that I have, but that's what I remember. A sunny garden full of flowers and lots of pink things. the window cleaner taking all day. Anyway, well, I didn't visit Bromsgrove itself this time. We kind of we were within a few miles of it, and yeah, we used to go on little trips out to nearby attractions. We went to Cadbury's World. And I remember I was reading a book. It was called The Song of Pentecost. And I read it at face value as, a story about some mice having a little adventure. But looking back, I suppose it was probably a kind of religious analogy thing. But anyway, I enjoyed The Song of Pentecost and its sequels. And I didn't realise at the time that it was actually set in Birmingham. It mentions the city. And it mentions places like, Licky Top and the Gas Street Basin. What a lovely name, the Gas Street Basin. And I didn't realise that these were real places until my stepdad said to me, I'll take you to see Licky Top. I'll take you to see the Gas Street Basin and, all the places mentioned in my book, the Bull Ring and Spaghetti Junction and things. I was quite shocked that they were actually real. I thought they were just made up places. I had no idea that the city in my book was actually Birmingham, when my stepdad used to live. What? So, I just went, no. I just wanted them to stay in my head, you see, as imaginary places. So we didn't go. But on this trip, I did visit Spaghetti Junction, Bull Ring, Gas Street Base. We didn't make it to Licky Top. I sort of feel like I'd like to revisit it one day. But anyway, more on that story later. So we went to Cadbury World on the first day. I drove around Spaghetti Junction. As I say, it was mentioned in this book I had, and it just sounded like such a strange name for it. I thought it couldn't possibly be real. Why would there be a junction that's actually called the Spaghetti Junction? But it turned out it is real. It is a real place. It's just, it's. I hardly knew I was there. It was a bit of a disappointment. I was hoping for a challenge. I was hoping there would be a bit of, what lane am I supposed to be in? But it was actually very, very simple. Moving from the M6 to the A38, I think it is. Is it the A38? The main road that goes through the middle. And I found it all very easy to drive through, actually. Some of the roundabouts are very big and have a lot of exits, and once or twice I sort of, took a wrong turn. But yeah, it's very simple to drive through. There wasn't a lot of traffic jams or anything like that. I was sort of expecting, it's a big city, it'll be really, really congested. But no, it wasn't. I think what I had in mind was it'd be a bit like London. I've never drove through London. I've drove around it a few times, and each time said never again. Last time was 12 years ago, so I am sort of keeping my promise to myself so far. I thought, well, it's like the second biggest city in the UK. It'll probably be a bit like London. It's not like London. It's not like London at all. I suppose you could say it's London for people with sensory issues. It's clearly a big city. There's massive skyscrapers and everything, and all the things to expect in a city. But compared to London, it's kind of eerily quiet. The city centre isn't massive. There's residential areas right up to where all the massive 20-storey office blocks are. It feels quite safe and homely and non-touristy, really, as you're walking through the city. It's I really liked it, actually. I felt quite at home there. Yeah, I mean, I didn't get lost. I didn't get lost because I had, I had my phone with me with Google Maps and everything. It's very, um, it's very well signposted and everything. It's clearly set up for pedestrians. There's loads of subways and crossings. It's easy to walk through, and as I say, the traffic isn't terrible. It's very travelable. Is that a word? Is travelable a word? Yeah, that's a big thumbs up. Yeah, well done, Birmingham, for that. Yeah, so we went to Cadbury's World first of all. That's, as I say, I had been there before, 30 years ago. It someone had told me, oh, it's no different. No, it's exactly as you remember. It wasn't exactly as I remember. It's been changed around quite a lot. There are a lot of new displays and everything. I like the purple railings in the car park. I think that's a nice touch. It wasn't very big. I sort of expected we'd be there half a day. It was about an hour and a half. An hour and a half to walk through it. I mean, that's my son go on the playground and everything as well. It was, I wouldn't say it was disappointing. It's not disappointing. There was just less than I remember. As I say, I was only a child at the time, so maybe my memories are a little bit distorted. As I say, things have been changed around as well. And my son has a tendency to sort of dash through things. He doesn't stop and linger over the displays and everything, as I seem to remember I did when I was that age. But anyway, yes, it's worth a visit. It's definitely worth a visit if you're in the area. I wouldn't say, travel hours and hours just to go there and travel hours and hours back. No. And you get free chocolate when you go in, so that's plus. Oh, I didn't mention. I got this ticket. Right, there's a ticket you can get. Certainly at the time of recording. I don't know when you'll be watching this. Maybe if it's several years in the future. Hello, future people. Hope you're enjoying your flying cars and everything. It's £55 in term time. Home ed benefits. £60 in school holidays. £55 you get into Cadbury's World, Legoland, Sea Life Centre and Warwick Castle. So it's well worth it. And yeah, that's I think you save 40%, it said. Getting into all those things with that. Anyway, so that was another reason I decided, right, we're going to Birmingham, because I sort of saw this, fantastic value ticket. Anyway, £55 each we got into 4 attractions. So, I can't actually remember how much they each were individually. But yeah, I worked out it was, nearly half price. Anyway. Yeah, so Cadbury's World is definitely worth a look if you're there. I wouldn't say travel half a day to get there, because it is just a couple of hours tops. So I'd be expecting we were there all afternoon, but we weren't. So we went to the hotel. After that, let's just check in early. And so we sort of sat and got cosy in the hotel room, and we went for dinner. And at this point, I realised everything's really expensive. I know, because he lives and everything, but yeah, it's more expensive than what I'm used to. Right, you can sort of add 50% on the price of what I was expecting to pay for food, particularly. And this is another, yeah, that's negative, but a plus, a related plus, is you are never short of somewhere to eat in the city. you know, every other building you pass is a restaurant or a takeaway. It struck me, actually, as we were walking, you know, along the main road into there's plenty of restaurants, plenty of bars. There weren't a lot of pubs. There were one or two pubs, but there were no shops. You know, there's sort of theatres and cinemas and things. There's no shops. I was thinking, you know, I could do with a new watch. Maybe while I'm there, I'll get myself a watch. It'll be like my souvenir. I did not see a single shop selling watches. Actually, I didn't see a single shop selling anything until we got right into the shopping centre. But anyway, that's a story for another time. So, yes, we had a meal out. It was very expensive, but there was plenty of choice. And yeah, I think we just went back to the hotel. I mean, I was tired after driving all that way. The next day we did Legoland. Hang on, no. The previous evening, the Monday evening, I actually did a little walk down to where I expected Legoland to be. It's quite hard to find because it was marked wrong on Google Maps. I was sort of walking around in circles looking for it for ages. If you find the Sea Life Centre, it's right opposite the Sea Life Centre, and you can see it because there's a big Lego giraffe outside. But yes, it was it was not where it's marked on maps. We walk around all these car parks and down the canal and everything, trying to find it. Yeah, we found it. We found it. So it's a good thing I did check beforehand. So yeah, Tuesday morning went to Legoland. Now my son has been to the Legoland in London with his mum before. No, not with his mum. I'm his mum. With my mum, his grandma. He has been to the Legoland in London with his grandma, and he was really excited about it. But I think he was a bit disappointed because it's not like a massive theme park like the one in London. It's more like a play centre. This is a thing that I found really annoying in the a lot of attractions you go to. They want you to pose for photos, and it's compulsory. You know, you're sort of herded into these little photo studio things with a green screen behind you, and they take lots of pictures and tell you to pose and what have you. And then they you know, they make them into like a little photo book for you. And it's, you know, it's quite hard sell. And as you're going into Legoland, you know, you cannot get into it without walking through this little green screen studio. And I just find that really, really irritating, actually, because I don't want it. They cost £20 each. You know, this little book of pictures of things you haven't done. Who is paying for these? But obviously they are worthwhile, because all the attractions have. Yeah, so we went into the Legoland, and it's you know, it's sort of quite a nice room with lots of bits of Lego everywhere for the kids to play with, and displays and sort of interactive things, and you know, climbing frame and a slide, and there's a ride where you can go around and, you know, zap baddies and things with a little laser gun, and that was quite nice. And they had quite a big room full of Lego models people had done of buildings in Birmingham, which I thought was quite a nice touch. I really enjoyed that. And every so often it gets dark and all the buildings light up, and that's really effective. And sort of little interactive things you can play with, like this, you can go to see the football stadium and roll a little football up and down it, you know, tilt it so that the football rolls around. And there's one of the city streets, and there's a little man with a pneumatic drill, and you press a button and he starts jumping around with his pneumatic drill and so on. And that kind of thing's quite nice. Yeah, I really enjoyed that. You didn't have a little boat race down the canal, but wind a little wheel and the boats move along the canal and stuff. I found that quite entertaining, and impressive as well. Yeah, someone with a lot of skill has done that. I think Legoland is for children. It's not somewhere I would have gone myself if I didn't have my 8-year-old son with me. But yes, if you're in the area, you have a child, it's worth a look. But yeah, as I say, he wasn't absolutely thrilled with it. He was, having been to the one in London, he was expecting more. And again, he was bored after an hour or so. So I decided after that, we still had half a day left. I'd booked it in, on the Tuesday morning, thinking, there'd be more to do there, and so we still had the afternoon free. I thought, well, we'll wander down into the town centre, see what goes on there. We'll have a look at the bull ring, because as I say, I wanted to buy a new watch. Now the bull ring, again, it was smaller than I expected. It's like a sort of, it's probably smaller than the one we have in town. There's 3 levels. It doesn't have a massive footprint, really, considering it's a lot smaller than something like Meadowhall. For all the sort of hype about it, and again, being in the second biggest city, I just sort of expected more. And it's fine. It's fine. It's nice to see a shopping centre where the overwhelming majority of the units are in use. They're all kind of chain stores. They're all the big chains. There's nothing you couldn't get anywhere else there. I'll say what I did find impressive was the hand washing facilities in the toilets. That was, wow, welcome to the future. There's this, it's like a metal sheet at the top, a metal sheet at the bottom with like a gap in the middle, and there's little lights for put your hands here for soap, here for water, here for your dryer, and you just sort of put them in this little slot, and it's all lit up pink, and you put your hand in the little slot, and it squirts water on you, then it squirts the soap on your hands, and then you move across and it squirts the water on your hands, and then I like them. We really liked the hand washing facilities. But yeah, I didn't get a watch, and we needed some socks as well. I needed some socks because silly mummy, when packing, completely forgot to put any socks in for my son, so we got him some clean socks in a Primark. Actually, I'm not sure if the Primark was even part of the bull ring. Kind of had to go out and cross a road to get to it, but I don't know if it's sort of linked up somewhere. Anyway, and we had sushi as well. We had sushi while we were there. There's a little food court with the choices of things. And my son really fancied sushi, so we went there. Then we went back to the hotel. Day 3, I'd booked in at the Sea Life Centre. Now, running theme here. I was thinking, it'll be a bit like London. It's the big city. I was thinking of the London Aquarium, where me and my cousin went once, and we were wandering round, and we just got so completely overwhelmed by fish, we just came out and didn't know who we were or why we were breathing air, where our fins had gone. But no, we went to the Sea Life Centre, and it was, again, worth a look if you're in the area. Not worth travelling halfway across the country just to go and see. It was another of those things that you go in, you think, oh yes, this is. Well, I assumed we'd think, we'll be here half a day. We weren't. We were there 2 hours tops. At this point I realised Birmingham is not as big as it looks. The things in it are not as big as they look. I actually noticed a lot of the people seem really small as well. I don't know what it was. Just everywhere I went, I just saw like the tops of people's heads. What's that all about? So we had a look around the Sea Life Centre. It's nice. It's nice, There's a big tunnel with the sharks floating over and lots of interesting fish everywhere. Everything worked. The staff were really nice. But again, it was smaller than I thought it would be. It's not a major failing or anything. I just thought there'd be more. We came to the big city to look at the aquarium, and it was only a sort of fairly average-sized aquarium. Yes, so we came out of the aquarium. We went to the museum. Again, nice museum. There was an exhibition on about Ozzy Osbourne, Black Sabbath, but yeah, I was absolutely sick of seeing pictures of Ozzy Osbourne by this time, and I mean my son's not a fan, so we skipped that. We just went into the main hall that was an exhibition, a permanent exhibition about the sort of history of Birmingham. Again, just one room. There's just one room about the history of Birmingham. Yeah, it's that same theme. I just thought it'd be bigger. Why is everything in Birmingham so little? And one of the questions I had, one of the things that I didn't know was what was the big industry there? In the Victorian age, every town, every city sort of had its, its mill or its mine or whatever. But it turns out Birmingham didn't really have one industry. It did a little bit of everything. I said it was known at the time as the City of the Thousand Trades because there's just so many things made there, and very, very disparate things. Sort of heavy industry and food production and all sorts of different things being created, and yeah, that was one of the things that I wanted to find out while I was there. That I did find out. Yes, what was Birmingham known for in the Industrial Revolution? A little bit of everything. Right. So that was sorted. And the reason there are so many canals was because it did a little bit of everything. All the traders around the city were all sort of trading with each other. And they needed the canals to transport all their goods. So yeah, there's the gift shop and there's the cafe and there's a little exhibition about jewellery making. I didn't realise this, and I know Birmingham does have its own hallmark. It's like an anchor, and I assumed that the anchor mark was just because of all the canals. It's lots of boats everywhere in Birmingham, but no, it's actually because when the assay officers were choosing, who would have what symbol, they were meeting in a pub called the Crown and Anchor. And Birmingham they're all drawing things out of the hat, what will have what symbol, and Birmingham chose anchor, after the name of the pub, and Sheffield chose a crown. which I didn't realise it used to be a crown. It's a rose now. But anyway, that's why the Birmingham hallmark is an anchor. So it's deciding the crown and anchor pop. Yeah, I didn't actually realise it was a big jewellery making centre. I suppose I should have done, seeing it had its own hallmark. But anyway, yeah, there is a whole section of the city called the Jewellery Quarter. We didn't get there. It's one of those things that I think I might have done if I'd been there by myself or with, someone my own age. I might have had a wander around the Jewellery Quarter and looked at the, all the artisan jewellery and so on. But no, it's not one of those things that would interest my son. So we didn't end up doing that. Yes, and then he fancied sushi again. Luckily, there is a lot of sushi in Birmingham. There is every kind of food you can possibly imagine. It's the thing I noted, the thing that struck me was, there's people of all nationalities everywhere, but there didn't seem to be many East Europeans. That's one of the things that sort of struck me as a bit odd. Because around where I live, every other person you meet's Polish or Romanian or Lithuanian. But there didn't seem to be many East Europeans in Birmingham. There seemed to be a bit of a lack of them. I don't know. Maybe there's sort of one little East European enclave somewhere else out of the city centre. I don't know. So we had sushi, and did we just go home after that? I think we just walked home after that. Yeah, we went back to the hotel. And this sushi place we went to, it looked like it was closed. But there was a sign in the window saying open, but there's just nobody in it. There's no little dishes going round on the carousel or anything. But I just opened the door and said, "Are you open?" to the waitress, and she said, "Yes, come in." And they just kept bringing us more and more food because we were the only customers there. They just kept bringing us more and more stuff, and there was piles and piles of food. And of course, my son, he says he likes sushi, but what he likes is the smoked salmon and the cucumber. That's all he'll eat. So he just ate all the smoked salmon and cucumber. And I had all these piles of fancy sushi and tempura prawns and squid rings and all sorts. And she just kept piling more and more stuff on us. And she only charged us 40 quid. So that was that was quite nice of her, I thought. Yeah, I promised her I'd write her a nice review. I will do. So we, I think we did just go home after that. So the next day was Thursday. My plan had been to go to the Botanical Gardens, spend the day in the Botanical Gardens. Again, I was imagining something like Kew Gardens or the Edinburgh Botanical Gardens. It was smaller than that. So I got a cat walking past me, knocking my camera. Come here, little cat. Come here, Zebedee. This is Zebedee. I do actually have 3 cats, but only Zeb whoever wants to be on the camera. But yeah, it was smaller than that. I mean, they had a tropical house. They had a subtropical house. They had a Mediterranean house. But no, you're not knocking my camera again, you. Come here. They had some grounds to walk around. Again, my son was getting bored. He had to go on the playground, then he fell and hurt himself. He was really fed up. Anyway, yeah, I enjoyed it. I'd probably, as I say, enjoy it more if I was there on my own, or with another adult. It wasn't really set up for children. yeah, if you're into plants, it's lovely to walk around for a couple of hours. And again, we were sort of finished by lunchtime. My son had been looking forward to seeing the butterfly house, but it's actually closed this summer. So that was a bit of a disappointment. But yeah, if we go back another time, we might go and see the butterfly house. I bought myself a little souvenir. I bought myself this plant. And there we go. And my son bought himself a Venus flytrap. Well, I bought him a Venus flytrap. He'd already spent his money at Legoland on a Lego set. And the pot is something else that I acquired in Birmingham on one of my previous visits. My stepdad's dad gave it to me with a little house leak in it in the summer of 1998. So I thought, well, I'll put my my pot from Birmingham with my plant from Birmingham. So there we go. Look at that. Isn't that pretty? I don't know exactly what it is. There's some sort of succulents here, it says. Crassula marginalis. Crassula marginalis. There we go. Yeah, this is another thing that I noticed about it. It's not really touristy. I mean, we saw there are a couple of people sort of gathered around the Ozzy Osbourne shrine, sort of taking photos and things. And you see in the museum and anywhere with a gift shop, there's these T-shirts that say "Yes, Bab" on them. T-shirts that say "Yes, Bab." Apparently, that's like the bummy equivalent of "A up." But I did not, in all the time I was there, hear one person say to another "Yes, Bab." Yeah, it's not really a big tourist destination by the looks of it. All those little tap shops everywhere, like you do in London. Yeah, this is something else I noticed. There weren't a lot of people just sort of hanging around the city centre harassing everybody. You know, there weren't even that many beggars. You know, compared to other cities I've been to in the last 10, 20 years. There weren't loads of people with petitions and charity collections and Jehovah's Witnesses and so on. Yeah, it was very quiet, really. I mean, we did see someone doing a little protest and someone giving out Bible verse and things, but it's very easy to avoid. I don't know if maybe there's some sort of rules, the council imposed on what you're allowed to do in the city centre. But yeah, I didn't get harassed at all. I had one beggar come and tell me a sob story about how he's lost everything and just needs a fiver to get on the bus and go and see his mum. And I thought, well, if it's not true, then he's a skilled performer. Have a fiver. What am I going to be doing with it? That's so important, And another one who just wanted some water for his dog. You can't say no to that, can you? No, I was on my way home anyway, so I just said, have this water. I have this bottle of water in my bag. Have some water for your dog. But yeah, it's very easy just to get around without being pestered by anybody at all. Yeah, when was I? Went to Thursday. What did we do on Thursday after we'd been to the botanical gardens? Did you do in the afternoon on Thursday? Oh yeah, we went. My son said he wanted to go back to the hotel. But as I say, it was only lunchtime. I thought, well, we're not just sitting in the hotel all afternoon. So I had a look, things to do in Birmingham, and I saw the back-to-back houses. Now, I've seen someone looking around these on YouTube, but it just didn't sort of twig with me that it was actually something in Birmingham. I thought, oh, we'll go and see that. If we rush, we can just get there before it closes. So the last tour leaves at 3. Right, but I didn't realise at the time that you have to book onto a guided tour. I thought you just wander in and look round, but no. We'd have to. It's National Trust, so and I'm a National Trust member. So they managed to. I'd left my National Trust card at home, but they did manage to look me up on the system and say yes, I am telling the truth. And they managed to squeeze us into the last tour of the day, even though we weren't booked on or anything. So that was nice. And I thought that was probably my favourite thing that we did all the time we were there. It was really, really interesting. They've got a little row of houses that were built in the early 19th century, and they've sort of done each one up like in a different period through history. And the amount of research that's gone into it. They found everything out about the people who lived there at the time, who actually lived in those individual houses, and stripped off the wallpaper and taken samples and had those samples of wallpaper remade, and used census records and things to work out exactly how many people were living in each house. Apparently, on one house they managed to dig up a list of all the things that were moved out of the house when the family left. Yeah, it's so it's as close to how it was then as you're likely to get. And the one house is done as it was in 1840, one in 1870, one 1930, one 1970. So you can sort of move through time and go out in the courtyard and see how people used to wash at different periods and wash their clothes at different periods in history and that was absolutely fantastic. I loved that. There's one house you can go into and you can see it just in its raw state. They haven't done anything with it. That was really, really good. It's not one for people with bad knees. If you have mobility issues, there's a lot of narrow, twisty staircases to go. But yeah, if you're interested in that kind of thing, as I am, definitely worth a visit. Again, it's only an hour or two, but I think the tour itself is an hour and a half. But yeah, there is a bookshop and things as well. You can go in afterwards. Yeah, that's really, really, really fascinating. Really kind of immersive. Social history. And yeah, the guide was sort of very knowledgeable. She'd actually lived in a similar house herself when she was young. So she was sort of telling the stories of how she used to live when she was a child, as well as the stories of the people who lived in these houses. So yeah, that was very, very, very good indeed. And that was well for us it was free. Because we're National Trust members, I can't remember how much it would be. I didn't get around to asking actually how much it would be just to get in if you weren't National Trust member. Anyway, my son wanted bubble tea. And luckily, we're just in Chinatown, so there were several bubble tea places nearby. We had a look around, none served the bubble tea he wanted, because he wants the one like we get when we go to town, which is apple flavour with bubblegum balls in, but these are all like the authentic Taiwanese bubble teas, and he didn't fancy any of them. And we'd already had sushi twice. So he said he wanted pizza. Now, it's quite hard to feed my boy. He's he's got very particular things that he will eat, like a handful of dishes that he'll eat. So going out with him is not always a good use of money. As I say, we've been to sushi places and he just pick out the things that he likes. And it's an expensive way of getting something he likes, but it works. So he said he wanted pizza. Now there are some pizzas he likes, there are some pizzas he doesn't like. So again, it's a gamble. It's a gamble with pizza. It has to have, a certain amount of cheese on and everything. So he said he'd passed this little pizza place that he thought looked nice, and it was one of these takeaways that's got seats in it, so you can order a takeaway pizza and sit in and eat it if need be. It was absolutely tipping it down with rain. But yes, we went to this little pizza place, and he ate a pulled pizza. Yes. That was probably the best value meal we've had for a very long time. It's like a little takeaway pizza place, and you really enjoyed it. And then we decided we'd get the tram back. We'd seen these trams going up and down the main road. We'd never actually been on one. I say we'd walked from the city centre down to where our hotel is, which is maybe half a mile or so, maybe a bit more than that, several times. And I've been watching these trams go by, thinking we could just get on one of them. I wonder what the deal is with the trams. Do you need like a special card or anything, like an Oyster card or something? But no, you can just sort of get on them, and cat again. You can just sort of get on them and pay when you're on, I think, like a bus or something. So anyway, we got on, and I could see the conductor down the other end, and he just didn't seem bothered about taking any money off us. So we got a free ride down from the city centre down to pretty much outside our hotel, for nothing. And it just let me wondering, maybe there is a sort of Oyster card type system thing. And I didn't know, and he just sort of assumed that I did know, and I'd done it. I was like thinking a little bit worried about, am I going to get caught or something? Yes, thanks, cat. But I don't know. I don't know what went on there. And there's a congestion charge as well. I went through when I was driving there. I saw this sign up saying congestion charge, pay online, but no further instructions. And I'm just sort of waiting to see if I get a bill or something sent by email. I don't know. How does that work? I don't know. I'll probably look it up somewhere. There wasn't any congestion. Do you still have to pay congestion charge if there's no congestion? Yeah, so we got the tram back. Trams are good. We like the tram. Yeah, got us from A to B with no fuss. We had tired little leggies, so we didn't really want to be working all the way back. Anyway, Friday we went to Warwick Castle. Warwick Castle is I've been before. I had an argument with my mum about exactly when, because she said that we went with my stepdad, which would mean it was sometime before 1999. I'm sure it'd be after that. I'm sure we went, just her and me, sometime later. Anyway, yeah, I couldn't remember it all that well. But yeah, that is our day out. We've got loads of things set up for kids. It's definitely worth our journey to go to. It's very big. It's very impressive. There's there's always shows on and things. We happened to be walking past the falconry display just as it was beginning, so that was really good. Oh, they got all sorts of things. They got condors, they got peregrine falcon, they got owls, they got everything. Yeah, we really enjoyed that, and they fly so far over your head. So far over your head. I mean, so close to your head. You can sort of almost touch them. Sort of whack you in the face with their wings. What an honour. Anyway, yes, that's a really good day out, but again, very expensive. Yeah, we went to get a drink and a snack in the cafe. It was £3 for a can of pop. That was the cheapest thing. I'm a bit embarrassed actually. I did actually pay the £3 for a can of pop, even though I had like half a bottle of water in my bag. I don't know. I think after I'd queued up, because there was a big queue going past the, going from the door, and I thought, well, we've queued up. I'd just be embarrassed to turn around and walk out now. So paid £6 for 2 cans of pop. That's embarrassing. Yeah, again, the castle itself is great. If you like castles, it's great. Yeah, they've got one area of it sort of set up with displays about the Earl who fought in the Wars of the Roses and was killed in battle. It's got the showing you all the ways they prepared for the battle. The horse in the armour, and the blacksmith making the shoes for the horse, and the fletcher making the arrows, and with the mannequins and the costumes and everything, and it's definitely worth a look. And then the upstairs area was done out as it was in Victorian times, when it was more of a house, not a defensive structure. Oh, Zebedee, please stop. Please stop. You're not being helpful. You're not a helpful cat. You're not a helpful cat. Look at these dingly dangly leggies. Whee! You're not a helpful cat. He's a wet cat. Just tipping it down outside. Hey, paws out. Where was I? Warwick Castle. Yeah, and you can walk around all the battlements and everything up to the top of the tower, and yeah, it's nice views, nice grounds, peacocks. Lots of peacocks everywhere. We like the peacocks. Yeah, that was very, very worthwhile. Again, they have this system with the parking. You go to the parking meter, you type in your car registration number and pay, and then it gives you a ticket with a little QR code that you're supposed to scan to get out. But when I drove up to the barrier to get out, it just lifted up. I didn't scan the QR code. So did I just pay £7 for nothing? I don't know. I don't know what that was all about. Maybe there was something scanning my registration plate or something. I don't know. Yeah, so we drove home. It was it's an easy drive home. M1 has a couple of little jams on, but other than that, it's okay. Yeah, we hadn't had any lunch at Warwick Castle, so we stopped off at a service station to get some lunch. They're ridiculously expensive as well. Why is everything so expensive? And I couldn't just not eat anything at that point because we were both absolutely starving. yeah, Birmingham is definitely worth a look. I wouldn't say we ran out of things to do. We didn't run out of things to do after 5 days, but I ran out of things to do with a small boy. There's a lot of things I would have done if I was on my own, or with a friend. Like you could just walk along the canals, or go on little canal tours and things that he wasn't interested in. Could have spent time browsing the shops and sitting in parks and going in pubs and things. But yeah, you can't do that with a child. Yeah, it's worth visiting. Definitely worth visiting. Would visit again. Was on a witness protection programme or something, and they were told, "Oh, you've got to go and live in Birmingham." Wouldn't be too upset about that. Perfectly nice city. I did wonder it might be causing a bit of a diplomatic incident with the amount of tea bags I was getting through. They only gave me 2 tea bags and 2 cartons of milk in the hotel room, and I drink quite a lot more tea than that. And I kept having to go down to reception and asking for more tea bags and milk, and I was getting a bit embarrassed about it. This is not breaking down stereotypes. Lock up your tea bags. Here come the Yorkshire people. Is the High Chief of all the Brummies going to, have words with, whoever's supposed to represent us? But no, apparently, when I went to hand my key, and the receptionist said, "Oh yeah, everybody comes to ask for more tea bags. Don't worry about it." They have a very strict quota about how many they're supposed to be putting in the room at a time, unless you request more. And lots of people request more. And I did ask her as well. This is something that I'd wanted to find out. Where do Brummies go to the beach? Because it's just so far from any seaside. They can't just not go to the beach, can they? That'd be weird. And she sat and had a bit of a think, and she said, well, some of them go to Weston-super-Mare. It's about an hour and a half drive, so generally they don't bother. A whole city of people not going to the seaside. So it used to be the thing, didn't it? In sort of Victorian, early 20th century, all the workers from the cities would just sort of evacuate to the seaside once a year. Apparently not. Apparently no, they don't bother a lot of the time. So yes, that was another thing I wanted to discover. And did. Yes, we just drove home from Warwick Castle. We went in a triangle shape, and it only took half a tank of petrol, which I was quite impressed by as well. Must have been driving very economically. Well, petrol tanks are bigger than they used to be. Yes, that was my impressions of Birmingham as a visitor. Sort of feel like there was something else I wanted to say about it, but there wasn't. Just sort of in a bit of a post-holiday come down at the moment. It was totes emotion. As I say, I've had a lot of lovely brummies in my life who've all sort of drifted away in one way or another, and it sort of sets me off thinking about them and what they're doing and so on, which makes me a bit sad. Also, so all the excitement of preparing and packing and getting the itinerary worked out and everything. It's all sort of gone now. It was quite nice that I didn't have any sort of flare up of my agoraphobia. I decided at one point in my mid-20s I was going to start taking myself on little holidays, but I'd always just sort of end up having panic attacks in Wales or London or whatever. Yeah, spewed up my fish and chips in Wales. Sat and had a cry in London. It's a bit freaked out in Edinburgh. But yes, I've been fine. I did check my bag to make sure I had my keys in it a couple of times, but yeah, that's fairly minor considering. I suppose having my son with me as well, I've got to hold it all together and put a brave face on when I'm in mum mode as well. Yeah, it was good. It was good. Would go again. Would definitely go again. I think we have more in common than that which divides us. And I'll see you in the next one. Thinking of York next. Maybe we'll go to York next.